the manner that Wilder was knocked out, what happens next in your opinion?
Probably retires, but look, that's up to him.
Yeah.
That ain't to you, me, Teddy Atlas. That's up to him.
Boxing pros have reacted to Deontay Wilder's emotional retirement after getting defeated by Zhilei Zhang. Both fighters, reeling from recent losses to Joseph Parker, faced a pivotal moment where their legacies hung in the balance. Despite Wilder's pre-fight vigor, it was Zhang who enjoyed the stronger backing from the public eye. Following a grueling 5-round clash, the fighter from China emerged triumphant with a decisive knockout, edging closer to a potential showdown with Anthony Joshua. Their paths had crossed previously at the 2012 Olympics in London, where Joshua claimed victory by points. Yet Zhang's recent triumph over Wilder appears to have ignited a quest for redemption. Here is what Teddy Atlas thinks about the outcome.
That's up to him. But he's been pretty honest about it. He said it on the stage the other night, you know, where he said, look, if I don't win this fight, obviously retirement has to be a very serious thought. And, you know, somebody said to me earlier, they said, isn't it sad? I said, what's sad? I'm trying to understand. What's sad? And he said, well, you know, the retire. I said, do you know anybody who has a career that doesn't end at some point? Show him to me. I'd like to meet the guy.
Zhang experienced his inaugural setback when he faced off against Filip Hrgović in 2022, marking the commencement of his journey through defeat. Interestingly, Hrgović himself suffered his initial career loss against Daniel Dubois on the same memorable night. Despite Zhang's subsequent triumphs over Joe Joy in 2023, his rendezvous with Joseph Parker concluded in disillusionment. However, Zhang's recent victories have revitalized his bid to ascend among the ranks of the elite in his field. Before the inevitable unfolded, his undeniable mastery over the heavyweight's powerful punch appeared to captivate the entire boxing community. Following the bout's conclusion, luminaries such as Claressa Shields took to social platforms to articulate their awe at Zhang's spectacular triumph. The showdown garnered significant interest from the outset, with Zhang's victory serving as the pièce de résistance. In the aftermath, Shields raised concerns about Wilder's reaction to Zhang's initial punch, which preceded the knockout blow, prompting questions about the referee's handling of the situation. Shields tweeted, "How the hell the ref let him spin in a circle, then allow him to be punched." In the midst of it all, Ring Magazine pondered whether Wilder ought to retire from boxing, suggesting his once formidable power may have waned. Interestingly, Wilder had previously stated that he'd consider retiring should he suffer defeat in the ring. Ring Magazine tweeted, "Might be time for Deontay Wilder to hang up the gloves." Lou DiBella, a boxing promoter, believed the bout was a complete bore. DiBella's perspective might have been influenced by Wilder's inaction. He tweeted, "So far, this is a terrible, lazy, heavyweight fight." Boxer Vidal Riley added his perspective, expressing his sorrow over Wilder's defeat in such a manner. Indeed, Wilder appeared to have reached a crossroads in his career following his loss to Parker. Perhaps his decision to return to the ring was ill-fated. Riley said, "Wilder going out like this makes me sad, man. I got 4 or 5 predictions correct. What about you?" Sports commentator and content producer Wade Plemons enthusiastically hailed Zhang's anticipated victory. With Zhang already leading the odds chart for the bout, it was evident to most observers that this outcome was on the horizon. Plemons said, "Oh my god, Big Bang Zhang with a brutal KO on Deontay Wilder. I told you!" With Zhilei Zhang emerging victorious, Zhilei Zhang emerging, the curtains fell on the electrifying Matchroom Queensberry 5 vs. 5 showdown. Now standing at a crossroads, the formidable fighter contemplates his next move, pondering potential clashes with familiar foes like Anthony Joshua or rising stars like Daniel Dubois. The future holds mysteries. Whose gloves would you eagerly anticipate him stepping into the ring against next? On the other hand, Carl Froch has made his prediction for a potential fight between Zhilei Zhang and Anthony Joshua. Speaking on Froch on Fighting, his YouTube channel, the former super middleweight champion demanded that the bronze bomber step down. Carl Froch stated that Wilder now has to be finished, noting that he got flattened by Zhang and expressing the belief that this has to be the end of his career. Froch further mentioned that Wilder looked like a shadow of his former self.
Deontay Wilder now has to be finished. He got absolutely flattened by Zhilei Zhang, and I think that's going to have to be the end of his career. I don't think he's announced that he's retiring, but I think he'll reflect on it. He'll look back and say, listen, he's no longer a menace in the heavyweight division. He can't really compete. He lost to Joseph Parker. Now he's been knocked out by Zhang, and that was quite a bad knockout. He got stretchered in there. He looked He looked a shadow of his former self. That dangerous right hand that he's usually got, that big right hand that you're waiting for him to detonate, you're waiting for him to land. When he did throw it, it didn't look menacing. When it landed, it didn't really have a big effect.
Regarding Big Bang, Froch thinks the British fighter will stop the 41-year-old Chinese heavyweight late in the fight and would want to see him take on Joshua. Froch questioned Zhilei Zhang's future in boxing, describing him as an old fighter who tends to run out of steam after 5 or 6 rounds. He acknowledged that Zhang is entertaining to watch, big, solid, strong, and capable of punching hard, but doubted if he has much time left in his career or if he will achieve significant success. Froch mentioned that he would probably like to see Zhang fight Anthony Joshua, predicting that Joshua would likely take Zhang into the later rounds, beat him, and secure a stoppage.
This evening on the Queensbury v Matchroom, the Bricktop v Hearn, this is the end of it, the end of the road for Deontay Wilder. It has to be curtains on his career, but fair play to you, mate. You came, you tried, but that has to be the end. So I've got to mention Zhilei Zhang. Listen, has he got much of a future? He's an old boy, and what is he, 41, 42 years old? He's a big lump. We know he runs out of steam after 5, 6 rounds, but he's good to watch, big and solid and strong. He can punch hard. Realistically, has he got long left in his career? Is he going to go anywhere? I'd probably like to see him fight Anthony Joshua. Maybe that's not a bad fight. I think AJ probably takes him into the later rounds and then beats him and gets the stoppage.
Joshua's probable next challenge looms in the form of Daniel Dubois. Dubois shook the boxing world with his victory over Filip Hrgović, claiming the IBF Interim Heavyweight Championship. Talks are swirling around a potential showdown with Joshua set for September at Wembley Stadium, with the tantalizing prospect of the full title hanging in the balance.
Maybe it's a good fight for Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois did really well tonight against Hrgović. Daniel Dubois, young, mid-20s, big heavyweight. All right, he's got that loss to Usyk, but he's still got that Usyk experience, hasn't he, in the tank? And he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Meanwhile, it appears that Anthony Joshua wasn't particularly concerned about Deontay after watching him get KO'd by Zhilei Zhang. In the midst of a bout that was literally life or death, Zhang knocked Wilder down in the 5th round, making the American appear hesitant and unconfident. Throughout the bout, the Bronze Bomber found himself pinned against the ropes, offering Zhang little to ponder in terms of offense. It wasn't until the 5th round that he decided to take a chance and alter his strategy, coming out with a renewed vigor, ready to gamble on his approach. Unfortunately, his efforts were rewarded with a pair of lead hooks knocking him out. Joshua, the former heavyweight champion, was intrigued observing from ringside as the WBC heavyweight champion was knocked down. Leading up to the bout, the head of Saudi boxing, Turki Al-Sheikh, dropped subtle hints suggesting that if Wilder emerged victorious against Zhang, he could potentially square off against Joshua in September. However, the emergence of Big Bang seems to have thrown a wrench into Joshua's schemes, as now he finds himself considering a bout with Daniel Dubois, alongside other contenders, to face off against the formidable Watford boxer. Asked by DAZN whether it was disappointing to see Wilder lose the way he did, Joshua replied, "Nah, it is what it is." Though he was indifferent to the stoppage, he had an open mind on the Alabama puncher's prospects. He added, "Come again if you want, but he's got his family, and there's a life outside of boxing for him. I enjoy fighting in London. I enjoy fighting out here in Saudi Arabia. I enjoy fighting in America." He further added, "It's a blessing, and it doesn't last forever. That's why I say it with Wilder if he wants to go again. Give it another crack, but sooner or later, Father Time will catch up with you, with everyone." As I said before, Dubois seems to be the favorite to box Joshua after this. The British fighter halted Filip Hrgović due to cuts in the 8th round of their bout, during which Dubois overcame initial challenges to dominate the Croatian throughout the match. He clinched the IBF interim title along the way, and might soon ascend to full champion status in the upcoming weeks, pending the anticipated move by the major sanctioning body to strip Alexander Usyk. Joshua might thus have the chance to win the heavyweight title 3 times at Wembley Stadium on September 21st. If Deontay Wilder's career was over, he did so with a bang thanks to Big Bang Zhilei Zhang's formidable right hand. Prior to the match, Wilder dubbed it a pivotal juncture, hinting at the contemplation of retirement. His demeanor shifted drastically when he absorbed a pair of Zhang's right hooks in the 5th round, crumbling onto the canvas. Zhang, who was 6 feet 6, weighed 282 pounds, which was 68 pounds more than Wilder's weight of 214. The punch served as the evidence. Zhang used tremendous force to deliver the knockout blow. Earlier in the round, the 6'7" Wilder did land a few strong right hands. However, Zhang assimilated them before eliminating Wilder. Wilder's right hand glanced at Zhang, prompting what seemed like a brief exchange with the referee just before he succumbed to the knockout blow. Curiously, Wilder opted out of any post-fight interviews within the ring. 38-year-old Wilder lost 43-4-1. The Chinese southpaw Zhang improved to 27-2-1. Let's see what Teddy Atlas thinks about the fight.
The guy. I'd like to figure it out how
It's
he
usually
did.
live by the sword, die by the
Yeah,
sword,
but
right?
do you know anyone in whatever they do that there's not a window that finally closes on a career? Do you know anyone doing baseball, football, basketball? A doctor. I know a real good doctor, best hand surgeon in New York. Guess what? He just had to retire. He's 70 years old and he had to just retire. And he's a great doctor and he didn't want to retire. But it was time. It comes time for everyone. So rather than sad, I said to the guy that asked me this, I said, what would be sad is if he never made money, he never accomplished anything. He went through all that a fighter goes through, where they take all that risk to go in that dangerous place, that chamber of truth, and come out of there with less of themselves. If that happened and they weren't put in a position to better their family, that would be sad. But he's made a lot of money. He's accomplished a lot. He's been heavyweight champ of the world. He's been all over the world. He was very honest about it. He said, boxing's been good to me. And it has been. He's been good to boxing.
Wilder launches a right hook, swiftly followed by another, showcasing his prowess. A surge of energy propels him forward as he unleashes thunderous blows. Zhang retaliates, leading to a tangled exchange. Suddenly, Wilder morphs into a new fighter, his determination evident. And then, in an unexpected turn, he crashes to the canvas as Zhang lands a colossal right. The referee counts, but Wilder remains motionless, unable to rise. Wilder dashes backward, nearly stumbling to the mat to evade Zhang's advance. Their match could easily break a CompuBox record for the least punches thrown in a round. You could count them on one hand, maybe even one hand and foot combined. With a swift motion, Wilder launches a powerful right, but Zhang swiftly retaliates with a left hook. Zhang leads with 40 points, while Wilder trails closely behind at 36. Zhang charges ahead like a formidable warship, unleashing a precise left hook that sends Wilder reeling. The latter scrambles for refuge, bewildered by the disappearance of his trademark electric right hand. Was it misplaced at baggage claim? With Wilder trapped in the corner once more, Zhang relentlessly peppers him with a series of left hooks, asserting dominance with a score of 30-27 in favor of Zhang.
That's not sad. That's where he had an opportunity, he made the most of it, he's fulfilled dreams, as I said, he's taken care of his family. What's sad about that? Like I said, everything comes to an end. What would be sad is if he got hurt. And I think he's smart enough to understand that he's at that place now in his career, in life, that he has to give serious contemplation about, is it time? And I'm sure that he'll realize that along with his family. Because from what I understand what he said, he's got 7 beautiful children. You know, he wants to be able to, obviously, he didn't do all this work, so he couldn't also be with them to enjoy it. Right? So I don't see it as sad. I see it as something where you say, hey, congratulate him for having a great career and for accomplishing things that many people try to accomplish and quite often they don't. And again, the saddest thing for me is to see fighters, I've been in this business 50 years, to see fighters leave pieces of themselves in the ring and get nothing for it. Not be able to take care of their families the way that they wanted to. That's sad. But I don't see sadness. I see again that, you know, it's life, that everything comes to an end. And thank God he didn't get hurt.
In your opinion, did Wilder do anything wrong? Did he look good? Or
Of course he did something wrong. He reached in with a right hand, got hit with a counter right hook. His technique has never been great. He's accomplished a lot with his heart and, you know, his power. His power has always been that great eraser. Where he can make a lot of mistakes. We've seen him make mistakes behind in fights with Ortiz, and his power brought him back.
Wilder connects with a solid right, yet his expression betrays a hint of apprehension. Zhang seizes the opportunity, pressing forward relentlessly as he pins Wilder against the ropes. Desperate, Wilder attempts to fight his way out of the corner. Zhang momentarily releases him, only to swiftly herd him back into the same predicament. Confidence eludes Wilder, evident in his hesitant movements. Another right lands hard on Wilder, as he finds himself trapped once more. Zhang appears to be in control, tallying up points with ease. Zhang 20, Wilder 18.
Reached in with a right hand, got hit with a counter right hook. His technique has never been great. He's accomplished a lot with his heart and, you know, his power. His power has always been that great eraser. Where he can make a lot of mistakes. We've seen him make mistakes behind in fights with Ortiz, and his power brought him back. We saw him behind in the first fight with Fury. He was behind, getting outboxed. But then his power salvaged the draw and kept him the title. You know, so he's always had a problem with the technique in that way. And look, the truth is the truth. It's not a knock on. It's just stating the truth. Otherwise, what worth would I have if I can't state what my 50 years of experience tells me to state. And tonight his technique betrayed him again. He reached in with the right hand, which is what he's always looking for. He fell into space a little bit. And he got countered with the most dangerous punch in southpaw control. Everyone thinks the most dangerous punch for a southpaw is the left hand. And we all thought it tonight with Zhang. And it is dangerous. It's the power punch. But for me, it's always the right hook. You know why? Orthodox fighters aren't used to seeing that punch come from that angle.
Zhang, the giant unleashed, imposing his dominance with each step as he maneuvers Wilder towards the ropes. Wilder manages to slip away, but tension mounts as spectators anticipate the first decisive blow. A right jab from Wilder lacks impact. The fighters cautiously assessing each other. Yet, Zhang's considerable weight advantage positions him as the instinctive aggressor. The scorecard reads, Zhang 10, Wilder 9.
Right? So I don't see it as sad. I see it as something where you say, hey, congratulate him for having a great career and for accomplishing things that many people try to accomplish and quite often they don't. And again, the saddest thing for me is to see fighters, I've been in this business 50 years, to see fighters leave pieces of themselves in the ring and get nothing for it. Not be able to take care of their families the way that they wanted to. That's sad. But I don't see sadness. I see, again, that, you know, it's life, that everything comes to an end. And thank God he didn't get hurt.
As the dust settles, Zhang stands on the precipice of a triumphant return to his homeland, China, where adulation awaits, painting a picture of potential glory in the making. In a dazzling display of dominance, Queensberry Promotions secured an immaculate victory as each of its 5 fighters emerged triumphant in their bouts against their counterparts from Matchroom Boxing. Zhang's decisive 5th-round knockout sealed the deal, cementing Queensberry's flawless 5-0 triumph in the electrifying 5 vs. 5 showdown. The head of Queensberry Promotions, Frank Warren, announced to the press that Zhang was returning. Zhang laughed heartily and made a joke about his catchphrase. Today, Queensberry banged Matchroom, Zhang said with a laugh. Zhang's triumph over Wilder garnered considerable attention from Chinese audiences, as highlighted during the 5 vs. 5 press conference. Notably, his last bout in China dated back to 2018, where he swiftly dispatched Donald Hainsworth within 3 rounds. Since then, Zhang has showcased his prowess with 2 victories over Joe Joyce, both fights held in Europe, and his recent knockout victory over Wilder in Saudi Arabia. Warren said at the press conference, "You know what we are going to do. We are going to do a show in China, I hope, with the Chinese flag soaring triumphantly in his grasp, following what could easily be deemed the pinnacle of his career." Zhang radiated an overwhelming sense of national pride, coupled with an unmistakable eagerness to grace the ring in China once more. His entourage proudly announced that the towering 6'6" heavyweight had surged to the top spot as the most talked about figure on TikTok throughout China throughout his electrifying match. Zhang said, "This is my mission. No matter where I fight, I always want to raise the Chinese national flag." On the other hand, Eddie Hearn, the promoter, doesn't think Deontay Wilder is the same athlete who won the WBC heavyweight championship in 2015-2020. Following the intense bout, Wilder showed visible frustration and disputed the referee's decision to halt the match, despite having been knocked down heavily and struggling to maintain balance. Zhang reveled in what was undoubtedly one of his most significant victories, achieved at the seasoned age of 41. Meanwhile, Hearn candidly shared his reflections on the individual he had appointed as the leader of the Matchroom Boxing team. Eddie Hearn told Fight Hub TV that Wilder's performance was not the same, stating that he feels Wilder's belief is no longer there. Hearn questioned whether this change was due to time or if something else was not right, noting that Wilder was not letting his hands go, which was what made him one of the most feared fighters in the world.
Just not the same, in all honesty. You know, just feel that his belief's not there anymore, and you know, you've got to ask yourself why. Is it just time? Is it something else that's not right? But you know, he's not letting his hands go, and that's what made him one of the most feared fighters in the world. So yeah, that's, you know, it's all down to sort of personal opinion of what's next for him. That's up to him.
Wilder's recent track record is concerning, with 4 losses in his last 5 fights. His sole victory was against Robert Helenius back in October 2022. The downfall began when he lost his world title to Tyson Fury in 2020, stopping in 7 rounds. Fury repeated the feat 20 months later in 11 rounds. Although he managed to bounce back against Helenius, his return from a 14-month hiatus last year ended in defeat with a unanimous decision loss to former title holder Joseph Parker. This string of losses hints at a worrying trend, raising questions about Wilder's future in the sport and whether retirement might be on the horizon. Hearn said that Wilder is not the fighter he once was at the moment. He noted that while people can make comebacks, it is a long and difficult journey.
Just based on what you saw, though, you think it's time?
I mean, look, he's not the fighter that he was. That's at the moment.
Yeah.
But people come back. But you know, it's deep in the road.
Did you have a chance to talk to him in the ring after the fight?
I went up to him. I mean, he was very, you know, he thought he shouldn't have been stopped. But I don't think there's many that don't feel that way. But obviously he was frustrated because, look, he's, you know, I'm sure he's given everything in camp. He's tried to talk to himself and convince himself that he's still that fighter, and he hasn't been able to perform. So I would think he's incredibly frustrated.
Make sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen if you enjoyed this one.